welcome back to the channel. This video here is dedicated to navigating curves on the highway. I labeled it white line, yellow line. This is kind of what I call it. And we'll walk through this video together. I slow-moed a couple of slides here so that you can get the idea of it. But if you look at it, the lines are what controls what we do. It keeps us in our lane. It's like our limit. And so that's what we do. We ride white line, yellow line, especially when you're riding by yourself. It's a good time to practice it. But as you can see, the yellow line is always to your left. The right line is always to your right. And when you're in a left-hand curve, your focus is that yellow line. And that's what you want to use as your marker, and you want to hug that as safe and close as possible as you can. That helps eliminate the centrifugal force that you get when in a curve, and it keeps you where you should be. And when you're in a right curve, at that point you're going to navigate over to the white line, and then that white line will work the same way as far as centrifugal force. It'll keep you over there to that white line. You got to focus on it, stick to it. As you can see here, my bike is very close to that line. One thing you do, and see how I transition, now I'm back over to the yellow line. It wasn't because of the diesel was right there, it was because the curve was turning to my left. So keep that in mind. Here I go on the yellow line again because the curve was turning that way. As you can see, now I'm transitioning over to the right side because there's a right-hand turn and I need to be over here on my white line. And see, that keeps me in line, and you can handle the curve a lot better. Always keep torque in the back, which is to keep some throttle down a little bit so it'll pull me through the curve. Again, I wasn't moving over because of the diesel. I was moving over to the yellow line because I'm turning to the left. But I assume that everyone knows, you got to watch everything else. Watch what the cars are doing in front of you, the trucks are doing, hazards in the road. You want to keep an eye out for all that. But at the same time, you want to focus on this line. See, if I'm passing this truck here and I was in a right-hand turn, I wouldn't have hugged that white line too much. But as you can see here, I have a slight left curve, so I'm over here on the yellow line. And you'll always see me transition. If it's a right-hand curve, I'm going over to the white line. If it's a left-hand curve, I'm going over to the yellow line. So that's where white line, yellow line comes in. These curves aren't that dramatic, so still you need to practice that and use that, and it just helps tremendously, especially people that aren't used to riding curves. As we're approaching this curve here, you can see it's a left curve, so I'm over here focusing right now on that yellow line and ahead of me and around me, and seeing what vehicles are doing or any hazards in the road. But I'm making sure, and then as I came out of that curve, you see I transitioned over. I put this part of the video in here because I hear a lot of people say, oh, when it's raining or whenever, I love to get behind a big truck and just follow them through the rain. I think that's one of the most unsafe, personally, one of the most unsafe things you can do is follow directly behind any vehicle. Because if a vehicle has a road hazard like a tire or anything in the road, they're going to split it with their tires. They're not going to directly run it over. And if you're following down the center of that vehicle, they're going to miss, they're going to roll over it. And before you know it, it's going to be right there in front of you. So I just think that's the worst thing you can do. And when riding these motorcycles, you always need to have options. As you can see to my left, there's delineators, and this is a 2-lane highway. So my option to go that way is just nothing. I don't have an option over there. So as you can see, my best position here is to ride to the right of this semi truck, which again, I'm back on my white line. So that white line is guiding me around curves or whatever I might come up to. At this point, that was a good example. I just passed a truck that was on the side of the road, but I'm also looking at the white line. So the point I'm making here is you need to have as much sight distance as you can. That's why I ride to the left or the right of a vehicle. I never ride directly behind him. As you can see here now, I have another vehicle in front of me. But the key is I need to be able to see in front of them as much as I can. That's why I didn't have a problem with that vehicle being on the side of the road, because I saw that coming up before I got to it, because I'm riding over here to the right, looking ahead of this car in front of me, looking ahead of this diesel in front of me as far as I can, and then I choose my correct speed and distance. At the same time, I'm on the white line and it's leading me. So if the road begins to curve, I'm not going to panic because I'm following the line. So if the line turns, I'm turning. So yeah, very important. So I hope this video helped. Just a little short video on white line, yellow line.
For tips, motivation, or just inspiration, subscribe to my channel, PJ Ground Pounders. Let's get prepared and ride.